Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, August 7th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 23 days, the game against Michigan in 114 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. All right, on today's show, we're going to let you hear from a couple of Ohio State assistants we've gotten a chance to talk to this week. Getting to hear a bunch from Ryan Day and Brian Hartline and Matt Patricia over the last few weeks. Today you're going to hear from a couple position coaches. The first one is Billy Fessler. He is the quarterback coach. His room has, going to be a little bit of a focus this month as they sort out who is going to be the starting quarterback. So, Billy Fessler, what is the criteria that they're going to be looking at in terms of a quarterback and what they're doing with these guys in practice to get them ready for the season?
Yeah, I think we're in a situation where number one, we've got to be consistent. We've got to make the routine plays on a consistent basis, day in and day out, rep in, rep out. We can't afford to be in a spot where we don't make those plays. But as fall camp goes on, the way that it's situated is usually the first couple of days are more normal downs, and as it goes, you start to get into more situational football. We have got to be great on third down. We have got to be great in the red zone. That's where we have to excel, and we've got to be great in 2-minute drives. That's where quarterbacks make their money. And so we're in a spot where we're getting more and more of those situations every day. So it's an opportunity for those guys to go out and compete. It's exciting. I think they're pushing each other. I think everyone in the room is really good for each other right now. And as we come out of this thing, I think that we'll be a very strong quarterback room, and that's to me was most exciting about this.
Fessler talked about all the progress that each of the guys in that room has made since spring ball. So what have they been looking for in terms of what represents progress for those guys since the end of the spring?
There's so much to quarterback play, right? So to sit here and go through all those things, we could be here all day. But as simple as things as our footwork, as our base, as making sure that we're getting to the target, as making sure that we're in a spot where our back foot's connected to the ground and it's underneath our back hip, and we're powerful and using everything we have from the ground. Decision making, getting our eyes in the right spot every snap, to know exactly what we're looking at, to be able to recognize pre-snap what we think the defense is going to do, and then post-snap, can we confirm that's what the defense does? Okay, and having a plan, right? What if it's not the look that I thought it was going to be? Now what? Where do my eyes need to be, and how does that affect my decision? But constantly playing those games, both on the field, but also I think it's just as important to play that in your head. We talk to those guys all the time that we're laying around at bed and maybe watching some film and look at a clip and it'll be, okay, what would I do here on this play? What would I do here on this play? And constantly challenging your mind to play with an imagination, even when we're not out there on the field doing it, is an opportunity to grow. Is an opportunity to get better. And maybe somehow mentally I can put myself in that position. So if I do get a look that hadn't shown up on tape all year long, but they give us a different look on defense than maybe they've shown, I'm ready for that moment.
Feels like we talk a lot about Julian Sayin, and he is kind of broadly considered to be the front runner for the starting quarterback job this year. But let's not forget about Lincoln Kienholz. Where has Billy Fessler seen growth from Lincoln Kienholz?
Well, number one, he's an Iron Buckeye, so which is pretty incredible. Obviously, we know that's a big deal around here, and his work in the weight room was tremendous. So as an athlete, we've definitely seen that. And then, on top of that, we've seen him grow as a leader. He's more vocal. His presence is felt. I think he's playing with a little bit of an edge to him, which is good to see. I think you have to play that position with a little bit of an edge without, ever getting too high or too low, and that's contagious. So we're seeing that right now from Lincoln. And then, as far as mechanically it goes, we're definitely seeing Lincoln get the ball out quick. I think he's accurate. I think that his base has improved. There's been, a couple of things that in the spring he was working on with his footwork, and we've seen some drastic improvements that way.
Fans, media, we're all kind of thinking about, okay, this is like a horse race. Who's out in front right now? Who's leading? Is someone catching up? Is someone pulling away? Is that how the coaching staff is looking at it? Are they looking at this in terms of who's out in front right now? Or if not, when do they need to start thinking about something like that?
Yeah, right now we're just taking it day by day, and really period by period on the field, meeting by meeting off the field. The one thing that's pretty cool is those guys are very competitive and they push each other hard, and they're ultimately really good for each other because they both make each other uncomfortable because they're both very good players. And Tavian's right there with them, included in that mix, and And above all of that, they're still friends. I think what's pretty cool right now is just, you walk into that quarterback room and you got a bunch of really, really good guys that all get along well and are willing to help each other out and give each other pointers and tips if they see something. And, it's an enjoyable environment to be around every day, but ultimately those guys are competing. They're going out there and they're trying to win the job, and I think they realize that every moment is important and every period is important, and they're going out there trying to get it done.
The last one, this was a great question from Bill Landis. He's asked about, they talk about getting the ball out, and the quarterbacks need to be able to get the ball out. So what actually goes into getting the ball out? Is that you're processing stuff really quickly? You can read the defense, you can find the open guy, you go through your progressions, and that will let you get it out? Is that mechanical? You hear guys about, having a quick release. Is that what goes into getting the ball out? What goes into it?
Definitely a combination of both. I think when you look at a concept, how quick can I process the information I'm getting from the defense? And the way that I can process that information quickly are where are my eyes? Are my eyes in the right spot? If I'm looking at the right thing and I can anticipate what that defender is going to do and make a decision and get the ball out, right? That's a major, major factor in it. And then there's also a piece of it, right, that comes down to the mechanics as well. But I think more than anything, it's about making sure my eyes are in the right spot, making sure that I'm trusting what my read is, and making sure that I'm getting the ball out and making a great decision with the football.
Now on to the linebackers and linebacker coach James Laurinaitis. He is someone who has turned into a very popular assistant, was a very popular player back in the day at Ohio State. And one of the things he's been talking about with his guys is sort of explaining the history of the linebacker position with the players. Now, he, of course, is a pretty big part of that linebacker position and that linebacker history at Ohio State, and I'm sure they kind of know who he is and that he played there. But I thought this was really interesting that he's kind of going back through school history and sort of schooling these guys on the history of the linebacker position and where they potentially fit into it.
Oh yeah, I did a couple of years ago. I'm trying to take the guys through. You have so many meetings, so it's like every day what I'm trying to do is take them through every All-American linebacker that we've had, starting with Ike Kelly. Because it dawned on me last year, like Ike Kelly still comes to like the captain's dinner. So it's like he could be walking around and our guys have when you're playing, you're like, there's just a bunch of old dudes that are here. And you don't really realize it when you're young. Like when you become a junior and a senior, you start to have an appreciation. Coach Tressel always taught us the history of this place. And so I'm like, we have a lot of guys who are from out of state. And even the in-state guys are just young, We did a little Mount Rushmore of Ohio State yesterday, and Edric Houston came and asked me the Mount Rushmore. I'm like, gosh. And when I mentioned Randy Gradishar, he never heard the name. And I'm like, you're just young. Like, it's not even, you know what I mean? It's not they don't care. They just don't know. So anyway, we started with Ike, and then we've gone Randy and Tom and Spiels, and we hit Pepper today. And yeah, I will definitely skip over myself, though. That's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. They know that one.
I don't know if they know that one, to be honest with you. So I don't know. Sometimes I just got to remind them.
Someone who could fit into that great linebackers conversation at some point is Arvell Reese. It really seems like he's taken a big step. He just looks bigger, looks stronger, looks faster, very physical. He just seems like he's taken a big step since last season.
He's just he's playing so fast right now. I think, when he was young, trying to teach him just the scheme and everything about college football, it was a lot. It was overwhelming. You had to kind of pare it down. And now it's like he has this ability to, not only his ability to diagnose, I think that's why I always fought for him to stay at linebacker. Because if you remember freshman year, we had some injuries with Amari Abor, and then all of a sudden Veli went to DN, and I kept pounding the table, just even as a GA, like, he can see it as a linebacker. He's got to play off the ball. He's too freakish not to, he can see the game well. And I'm like, if we keep putting him on the edge, then you lose that vision of seeing the game in the middle of the field. You see it all from this way. And so I'm glad we got him back. And then I pounded the table for Sonny to move the linebacker. But I think his diagnosing ability has just sped up, and now he can come off the field and he knows exactly what he did wrong on a play or what he did right and how he could change it the next time. And I think that's just growth. And I told him, he's not a very vocal guy, but I'm like, your play speaks volume. So like your way of leadership can just be with how hard you play. Like everyone around you can like just catch that leadership by how hard you're going and be inspired by that. Like you don't have to be Cody, you don't have to be Sonny. Like everyone's different in how they lead. Just be authentically you.
So that kind of covers how Arvell Reese is on the field. How about off the field? Is he, now that he's sort of going to be a starter this year, is he maybe carrying himself a little differently away from the field?
I think he has a lot more confidence. Him and Sonny and Peyton, all three of those guys have a great rapport together. I really feel like, all three of them, I view all three as starters. Whether we're three backers or two backers, I think they're all just starters and they're pushing each other in that way. But I think he's just confident. And I think, Coach Patricia loves him, believes in him deeply, which I think has helped boost his confidence as well. And, I think if you talk to many people on our D staff about Arvell in general, they probably would all use the word freak to describe him.
Last year, Arvell Reese was the third linebacker for Ohio State. The year before, it was Cody Simon, and Cody Simon took on a pretty big role last year. Arvell Reese taking on a pretty big role this year. So being that third linebacker feels like it portends pretty well for your future in an even bigger role at Ohio State. This year, that third linebacker sounds like it's going to be Peyton Pierce. How much does his development and his preparedness to be that third linebacker, how much does that allow them flexibility to do some different stuff?
Well, a lot, because, Peyton, you just feel him every single practice. Like, he is downhill. You can sense that wrestling background. That's why I loved it when we recruited him. I first developed my relationship with Peyton when I was at Notre Dame, trying to get him to go there. And then when I came over here, it was like one of the first phone calls I made was to Peyton, and to make sure that we were kind of getting on that recruiting train. And then we ended up getting him. He's downhill. He's physical. He has this tough guy leadership qualities that's similar to Tommy. And it's just like, when that ball is run between the tackles, that he's going to go down there and just, like, you'd be surprised if he got through a practice without chips off of his face mask, and obviously that's the way that I think the LB position should be played.
Mentioned earlier, Cody Simon being that third guy a couple of years ago, Arvell Reese being that guy last year. Where is Peyton Pierce in terms of where he is right now as that third linebacker compared to some of the other guys who've been in that role?
I see those three as like they're all just right here. Sonny, Arvell, and Peyton are all right here. So I think having those three to be able to throw in them at any given time to keep everybody fresh as the game goes on. And Coach Patricia has, given, he don't really care. It's like you're in charge of the rotation and let it roll. So, and that could be fluid. Like I tell the guys all the time, like when you're at Ohio State, man, your locker is rented. Like you don't own anything. Like it's rented. These numbers are rented. Outside of like the GOATs who are players, Heisman's and Bill, like those numbers are all rented. There's always going to be a number 33. There's always going to be another, 20. Like, so same thing with like you can have to go out in the field with Arvell and Sonny, and next thing you know, if like the week of practice doesn't show focus and dedication and improvement, then it could be Peyton and whoever. Like it's all fluid. Like that is not concrete. I said the depth chart's never concrete. It's always moving. So it's all about their play and practice.
There was some news in that linebacker room this week as Riley Pettyjohn, true freshman, lost his black stripe. Obviously, that's a pretty good sign in terms of how the coaches and his teammates are viewing him. So is he someone who's maybe ready to contribute week one?
Yeah, I think Riley has proven, obviously getting your black stripe off is a big deal, but Riley has shown really a tremendous growth, even from the spring. Like you saw the traits and stuff, but just mentally, I think he's studying better. I think he's starting to kind of get a feel for how things are done, at this level. And he's at a really strong fall camp. Still some mental things he's got to improve on. He's young. You have to take that in consideration being a true freshman, but I expect, to see Riley on the field in some form or fashion, whether it's special teams or whatever it is, week one.
We've talked about a lot of the older guys. I don't think I've said Sonny Styles' name on this show. There you go, Sonny Styles. We talk about him a lot. So we're talking about some of the other guys in that room. So who else has maybe shown they're ready to play? You're going to hear him use a bunch of first names or a nickname in Garrett Stover's case. So he's going to be referencing Garrett Stover, TJ Alford, and Eli Lee here.
Stove had a great day. I felt like Stove had a good day today. I think TJ is going to be a really good football player. Eli has shown flashes. So, I really love my room, honestly. You got to keep challenging the young guys. We're in a grind right now of what we call like a yellow practice, then green. Like this is a big week of movement because it's physical, and these are more mental days. You got to really just take it period by period, because you can look up and be like, oh my gosh, we have this many plays to do today, and you'll be defeated by it. You really got to take it like, what am I going to do on these 4 plays that I got? Go rest. Think about the next 4.
And finally, you mentioned earlier, Riley Pettijohn looks like he's ready to contribute week 1, potentially, whether that's on defense or special teams. What does James Laurinaitis feel like he needs to see out of TJ Alford or Eli Lee to have them get to the point where they're ready to go as well?
Man, you got to be locked in mentally. That all starts with like, where do I line? I tell the guys all the time in the linebacker room, like, where do I line? What's my assignment? What are the adjustments that can come with this assignment? And if you know those 3s like the back of your hand, well, now you can anticipate and play fast. So if you're out there and you're like, well, where do I line? You don't even know what formation the offense is in. Like, you're clueless. But if you know exactly where I align, oh, that tight end's off, he's looking back, he's about the motion. Hey, alert, we got to slide the front of the motion. You slide, now the rotation changes. Now I can look at this tackle setting back, or is he flat? Is it run past? Boom, set hut. But if you're out there like, where do I even put my eyes? Set hut, like, you'll just be frozen. So like, it all starts with the young guys right away. Like, mentally, are you engaged? No mental errors. Can't play with mental errors. And then from there, it's just physicality and violence. And that's going to be everybody. Now, the older guys, you obviously expect no mental errors. Young guys, they're going to have some.
Well, there you go. A little bit from the little equal time on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. Get to hear from a couple guys you don't necessarily normally get to hear from. So I think you guys might enjoy that. Lots of interesting positional battles and guys trying to earn time on defense, on offense, on special teams. There's a lot going on this month. And a great place to talk about all of it is with us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That's where we got our whole team of reporters covering the team. We got our whole team of recruiting folks. We got our whole team of X's and O's guys to make you a smarter football fan, as well as a very fun and active board. The Huddle Board, presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. That is all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. You can sign up right now. Your first month, less than $5. Get access to our full team of insiders, our really fun community, and a whole lot of great insight and analysis, all from us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.